Now that we've created our enemies, we need a way to spawn them into our level. Spawning is a term that simply means creating something in a game. We're going to create several points that are going to spawn, or create, the enemies in our level so that they can chase our player from different areas. The first spawn point we're going to create is our Zombunny spawn point. This is going to be directly next to the dollhouse game object. To create the Zombunny spawn point, I'm going to go to the hierarchy window and select Create, Create Empty. I'm going to rename this Zombunny spawn point. I'm going to give this a position of -20.5, 0, 12.5. I'm going to give it a rotation of 130 degrees. The rotation is important because it determines which direction the enemy will be facing when it spawns. The enemy will spawn facing the positive z-axis of the spawn point. This means that the enemy is going to spawn facing the same direction as the blue arrow you can see on the translate gizmo in the scene view. Therefore, we want to make sure the positive z-axis is pointing in such a way that the enemy will spawn facing the middle of the level. The next spawn point we're going to create is going to be on the other side of the dollhouse. This is going to be the spawn point of the clown. To create it, again, I'm going to go to the hierarchy window and select Create, Create Empty. This one will be named Clown Spawn Point. Its position is going to be -26.5, 0, 5.3. Its rotation will be 130 degrees. Now we're going to create the Zombear spawn point. The Zombear is going to spawn inside the hole in the wall. I'm going to create the empty game object and rename it Zombear spawn point. The spawn point will be positioned at 22.5, 0, 15. It's going to have a rotation of 240 degrees. Next is going to be the Hellephant spawn point, which will be located in the corner behind the dresser. I'm going to create the Hellephant spawn point empty game object and rename it Hellephant spawn point. Its position is going to be 0, 0, 32. With a rotation around the y-axis of 230. The last spawn point is the Zombie Duck spawn point, which is going to be in the far corner. That spawn point will be positioned at -0.9, 0, -33. It'll have a rotation about the y-axis of 345 degrees. Now that my enemy spawn points are in position, I want to create one more empty game object that's going to be the parent of all the other spawn points. I'm going to go to the hierarchy window and select Create, Create Empty, and name this game object Spawn Points. I'm going to place the Spawn Points game object at the origin by right-clicking on the transform component and selecting Reset. Now I'm going to highlight the other spawn points and nest them under the spawn points empty game object. Now I have one game object that allows me to turn on and off all of my spawn points at the same time. I'm going to finish this section by turning the spawn points game object into a prefab. I'm going to go to the prefabs folder and then the environment subfolder. Then I'm going to go ahead and click and drag the spawn points game object from the hierarchy to the project window. In the next section, we're going to take the spawn points and add a behavior to them that will spawn the various enemies in our game.